This is the solution video for an algebra revision sheet, and it's mostly based off Algebra 1. The first question is a simultaneous equation, and first we'll rearrange our two equations. So I've just named them A and B as well for clarity. I'm going to match the y coefficients by timesing a by minus 3 and b by 2. So I've got 2x equals 3 and x equals 3 over 2, or 1.5 if you like, and then I'll just sub back in to get y. So x equals 1.5 and y equals 2. The second question is again simultaneous equations, and this time I've got one line and a curve. I'm going to rearrange the line to get one of the variables by itself. And then since 3x plus 1 equals to y, I'm going to use that to replace the y in the curve equation. So this means that I'm going to have an equation now in just one variable, which I can solve. So I'll have to expand this, use a few extra lines to do that if needs be, no problem with that. And then organising it, it's going to turn into a quadratic. As always, have a look at your quadratic. Maybe divide it if you can to make it easier to factorise. I'm going to divide by 2. And then we factorise that quadratic. And again, if that needs to take a couple of extra lines, that's totally fine. And I come out with two values for x equals 2 over 5 and x equals minus 1. And I'm going to use those then in my original rearranged line equation to get the y value. And when I have my x and y values, then I'm going to write my answers as points and make sure to match up each x value with the correct corresponding y value. Question 3, again, simultaneous equations, this time with 3 variables. It's important to be able to keep track of what's going on in these, so it's a good plan, particularly in these, to name them. So I've called them A, B and C. And I'm going to start off by eliminating the y variable. And you can see why I'm choosing that one, because I've got a negative 3y here. So it'll be easy to times A by 3 and C by 3 separately and knock that out. And I'll call that new equation D. And I'm going to call that E. And now I'll use D and E together to figure out the values of x and z. So x equals 2 is one of my solutions. I'll sub that back into either D or E to figure out the value of z. I'm choosing to go with D here. And z is equal to 1. I still have to find y. I'm going to use the first equation A to figure that out. And y equals to 3. And it's a good plan to sub all 3 of those back into your original equations on your calculator to verify that they're correct.